convenient, and cost-effective care, walk into Missoula Bone and Joint on Mullen Road. Missoula Bone and Joint. Quality care from people who care.
Thank you for making Polaris America's best-selling off-road brand. During the Polaris Great American Thank You event, financing is as low as 3.99% and rebates go as high as $3,500. Live life wide open in a high-performance RZR. Tackle everything from mountains to mud holes in a legendary Sportsman ATV. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger or elevate your adventure in a versatile Polaris General. Now is the time to get the season's best deals on America's best-selling off-road lineup with financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months and rebates up to $3,500 during the Polaris Great American Thank You at Kurtz Polaris, 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Get to Kurtz Polaris on Saturday, December 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for Kurt's 7th annual Snow Day. This is the biggest sale of the year, one day only, Saturday, December 7th at Kurtz Polaris in Missoula. Kurt's 7th annual Snow Day. Rebates valid in U.S. through 12/31/19 on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Subject to credit approval. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
My name is Margaret Brummel. I recently graduated from Montana Youth Challenge Academy and realized it was the first thing I've actually finished in my life so far. But it's not the last. I'm 17 and starting college classes soon. And the difference is that I have a foundation now. I have everything I need to keep succeeding. If you're between the ages of 16 and 18 and want to start realizing your true potential, call 877-367-6927 or find us on Facebook.
Sponsored by the Montana Youth Challenge Academy and the Montana Broadcasters Association.
This is Tom Skerritt for the Borgen Project. Each year, nearly 2 million children die from preventable diseases. Each day, 30,000 people die from hunger. 500 each hour are children. The Borgen Project is turning this around. We need your help. To learn more, go to borgenproject.org. That's BORGEN project.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's 4 o'clock. Welcome to Montana's only statewide sports talk show. Broadcast on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Western Montana and across the state on SWX Television.
I like football!
Now, the 2017 Radio Sports Broadcaster of the Year on the show with back-to-back Montana Broadcaster Association awards for sports coverage and award-winning sports journalism. Here is Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. Cat Grizz, number 119. Plenty to talk about, plenty to hear about. The Montana State Bobcat men's basketball team, they're 4-1. Their head coach, Danny Sprinkle, joins us, and in studio at 5 o'clock, Ty Gregorek. It is Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio and SWX Montana Television across the state. Great to be with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday of the greatest week of the whole darn year. I don't care what anybody says. We're happy to be on board with you. We appreciate it. We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula. Go there Saturday, December 7th, one day only, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the Kurtz Polaris 7th annual Snow Day. Biggest sale the entire year, one day only. If you'd like to listen live and you're out of market, maybe it's easier at the office, whatever you got to do, figure it out. Get on your device, tablet, 1029ESPN.com. Listen live on the Listen Live tab. It's called a stream, and it is there thanks to Opportunity Bank. Your local bank, your opportunity. If you want to call, 329-1899 is the phone number, 329-1899. That phone number, all guests. Join us via the Rankish Brothers RV phone line. Let's take a look at what we got in the show today. First of all, we're going to spend, the way we're going to spend basically every show this week, talking Cat Grizz football. We were going to hear from both head coaches here in this first segment, just talking broadly about the rivalry in general and their thoughts from their press conferences yesterday. We will hear from them in about 30 minutes. Danny Sprinkle, who we caught on a bus headed to Phoenix or heading into Grand Canyon University in the greater Phoenix area as Montana State went and won 3 games straight at the Spartan Invitational at UNCG, University of North Carolina, Greensboro. They are 4-1. They're off to a really good start, and so their head coach joins us. We appreciate that. Looking forward to that. We will also talk about the Grizzlies, a horrendous loss last night for the Montana men's basketball team, 74-72 to Montana Tech, and we will go through a little bit of that game as well with you. At the top of the hour, Ty Gregorak going to join us, former defensive coordinator for both the University of Montana and Montana State, and he is now an analyst for Root Sports, among other things, and so obviously the perfect guy to have in here on Cat Grizz Week to talk about the rivalry, but also to talk about this game. I mean, this guy, nobody knows football more than Ty Gregorak, and so to hear what he's got to say about it and the players that are involved as players, I'm pumped up about this, man. This is going to be fun.
No doubt. And Ty, we ran into Ty in Missoula on Saturday, was at the Weber State game, and there's an article in the Missoulian, the Billings Gazette, all across the lead newspapers this morning, as Ty is kind of a central figure in the Cat Grizz rivalry, and we'll touch on that a little bit, but I want to actually just ask Ty, like you're saying, put on your analyst hat, because he actually is an employed analyst now for Root Sports. Give us the breakdown, the X's and O's of this game.
No doubt. So we will we'll get into that and plenty more as we continue to get you ready for Rivalry Saturday, number 119. We'll take a look around the Big Sky Conference as well today. So there you go. There is our show Outlook. It is brought to us by Shine Auto Detailing, online at MissoulaAutoDetailing.com. Get your car clean, get it protected as well heading into the winter. Shine Auto Detailing. Coulter, the Cats, the Grizz for the 119th time on Saturday. Looking forward to this. By the way, we are working feverishly to bring you some cool stuff this week. Friday, as you probably know by now, but we are going to be in Bozeman doing this show live from the Universal Athletic, which also houses and thereby is the Montana Football Hall of Fame. So we're going to be there from 4 to 6 doing this show at that time. So we look forward to a special show then. But also on Saturday morning, the day of the game, from 7 to 10 a.m., we're working on putting together kind of a special feature, kind of an hour-long space of content that includes commentary from Coulter and myself, but also some of the compelling portions of interviews that we've done throughout this week, just to have stuff to listen to as you get ready for Cat Grizz on Saturday. Of course, a noon kickoff, Root Sports Television on that. But Saturday morning, we'll have the Penn State-Ohio State game for you, started kicking off at 10 a.m. on ESPN Radio. But leading up to that, we're going to get into some Cat Grizz stuff for you, so some special programming for you on Saturday. But Coulter, here is one notable item that's coming out of this year's game. 119 times these two teams have played each other. This is the second time that they're both ranked inside of the top 10. Now, obviously, there's some caveat to that where the first, 50 or 60 times, I don't even know if there was such a thing as a top 10 ranking. They were not even for a long stretch playing in the same division of football.
Right.
So we all understand that. But even if you just fast forward to 1963 and the development and the opening of the Big Sky Conference, which both schools are charter members of, it was 2011, the first time that they're both in the top 10 when it came time for them to play each other. So this is an absolute treat. This is what we've been hoping for, to have something like this, 3 versus 8 as it is. Let's look, though, Coulter, at that 2011 game, because it may be, I'm not saying two completely different situations and scenarios going on, of course, coaches and everything, but these two teams, in terms of where they were in a national prominence and the collision course they were on, and Montana State, but number 1 in the nation in that football game.
I think that there's actually a lot more parallels, or at least similarities, than you might actually think. Montana State was in their 5th year under Rob Ash. This year they're in their 4th year under Jeff Choate. The Cats had broken through, 2007, 8, 9, I guess Ash was 07, 08, 09, 10. Yeah, so they're in their 5th year under Rob Ash.
Yep.
And they'd broken in for the first Big Sky title in year 4.
Yeah.
With Denarius McGee as a freshman who won the Offensive Player of the Year in the league at quarterback. And on the other side, Robin Pflugrad was in his 2nd year at Montana. And that first year was a little bit clunky, and they lost some games down the stretch, and they lost Cat Grizz on a fumble on the goal line by Chase Reynolds. It just happened to be about 2.5 minutes left on the clock instead of 8 seconds, so it wasn't as resounding as last year, but still such a similar situation. Not to compare Chase Reynolds and Adam Eastwood, because those are worlds apart. I mean, Chase Reynolds is one of the greats of all time. And go check out the ESPN Roundtable from last week as well, because I thought that was one of the great ESPN Roundtables we've done. Chase was...
It was, and I think we're going to have some of that interview with Chase Reynolds on Saturday morning for you. So
great. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he described the common enemy that Bobby Houck was to his players his first tenure at Montana more perfectly than any other former Grizz we've had on the show, and we've talked about that same subject. Mm-hmm. But that Grizz team lost and missed the playoffs. 17-year streak in the playoffs was ended in 2010 with that Cat Grizz loss. But then 2011, the Grizz catch fire. They were 3-2. They had lost at Sac State, which I think was the first time they'd ever lost at Sac State since Sac State had joined the Big Sky. And then they went on an absolute tear. And Jordan Johnson threw 6 touchdowns against Weber State, and the offense just took off. And that came to a head with then Montana going to Montana State and pulverizing the Bobcats. They beat the number 1 team in the country 36-10. They did whatever they wanted. They ran the ball early and often. Dan Moore was outstanding. Caleb McSurdy was a tone setter on defense. But I want the parallels to stop at kickoff, not what's going to happen on Saturday compared to what happened that Saturday. But I do think that there's a lot of parallels, both in terms of the arc of the programs, like I just described with the 2 coaches and where they were at, but some of the pivotal and pinnacle figures in that game. I mean, Dante Olson, to me, is the most like Caleb McSurdy, who's the 2011 Defensive Player of the Year for Montana. McSurdy did not run nearly as well as Olson, but they were similar in terms of like their inside linebacker enforcer. Everybody in the league knows this guy is the dude. So I think there's a parallel there. I think Jordan Johnson and Dalton Snead are similar quarterbacks, dual threat guys, not the biggest guy in the world, but really savvy, competitive winners. I think that there was a lot of parallels in terms of the way that the receivers operated. I mean, that Grizz group of receivers led by Jabin Zambrano was really good, but then he also had the Montana-born and bred tight ends led by Greg Hardy. I mean, the roster construction was pretty similar, even though Robin Pflugrad and Bobby Houck, I mean, it makes a little sense because Pflugrad had been on Houck's staff, and a lot of those guys were Houck guys, Houck recruits. But now here in year 2 under Bobby Houck this year, the Grizz are really surging. I think that there's a similar element in terms of the momentum that they've been able to gain over the season, the way that they're really acclimated maybe more quickly than people thought in year 2 under this staff. But then at Montana State, you look there, the one glaring difference is Denarius McGee. There is no Denarius McGee at Montana State. I mean, shoot, if Denarius McGee played at Montana State right now, Montana State might be the favorite to win the national championship.
Also, in 2011, there was no Troy Anderson.
There was no Troy Anderson, certainly. And he's the anomalous figure in this entire thing because there's actually really never been a guy like Troy Anderson.
No.
Not at Montana State, or really anywhere. But Montana State, even though they did have a great quarterback, they were awesome on the offensive line, just like they are now. They were really, really good running the football, although it was way more of a dual back system rather than, as you said yesterday in the press conference, 18 running backs. Bobby Houck looked at Tootell and was like, 18? Really? But they really have had 19 guys carry the ball. They're not all running backs. They've had quarterbacks and receivers and everybody else carry the ball too. But yeah. I thought it was pretty funny because it actually wasn't that far-fetched or outlandish of a statement. You just didn't really put it into preface, and Bobby was like, 18? Really?
I mean, I was trying to exaggerate, but it turned out that I was slightly, but actually not nearly as much as it might seem. That is true.
But great offensive line, great run game. Cody Kirk and Trey Robinson. You know, Montana State, they run even more running backs than that. But then you look at the Cats D-line back then with Zach Minter and Caleb Schreibeis and Brad Daly. More of a sort of blue collar than this year's group, but similarly dominant. I think that the linebackers were sort of the same. And then the safeties, you got athletic, diverse guys. I mean, the personnel overlay is pretty good. I think that the biggest outliers are Troy Anderson, like you said. Denarius McGee is not on Montana State. The Cats don't have a receiver really like Elvis Akpla. But then on the Grizz side of things, there is so many I actually
analogs.
I had never thought of it until right now. Samori Toure is a lot like Javen Zambrano. He's not quite as fast, and he's significantly bigger, but they're very similar in just how smooth and flossy they are. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting overlay, and I think that it's cool because here's the thing: when the Cats won in Missoula to end the streak in 2002, it kicked off this golden age of Cat Grizz games where
it's 9-8.
9-8
right now.
But from 2002 till 2011, every single time the winner of that game won or shared the Big Sky Conference title, except for 1 year. That happened to be true because Montana won the game and won the league title. It wouldn't have been true in like 2006 through 2008 if Montana State would have won it. But either way, you still got the winner winning the Big Sky. But as far as either team could win the Big Sky and either team could get a playoff bid and a bye, it's been 7 years, and that was the first time in forever, that either of these teams have been in the top 10. So I think that even though sometimes we can be hyperbolist, the fact of the matter is this really is, in terms of the national ramifications, one of the biggest games in the history of the rivalry.
It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. I do think there's, for all the analogies there's going to be disanalogies as well. What you talk about, you said you wanted the analogies to end at kickoff because 36 to 10, excuse me. Ooh, I mean, obviously any score, I suppose, is in the realm of possibility. Don't anticipate that being the case on Saturday. Who knows? But the point is that Montana State has got to come into this game, it seems to me, with just a gigantic amount of confidence. They're playing well anyways, but also they beat Montana 3 times straight with now a senior class that doesn't even know what losing to Montana is. They just go out and they win. They expect to win this game, which I don't know. When Montana State was the number 1 team in 2011, now the back and forth had begun, certainly over the course of the last decade of time, but I don't think that team was entering this particular game with an expectation, which I anticipate this year's Montana State team is entering this game with.
I think the two biggest advantages that Montana State has in this game from an intangible standpoint is, one, exactly what you just said. It's not just that this senior class has never lost to the Grizz. It's the fact that there's 7 fifth-year seniors on this team. They're all from Montana. They all came to play for Rob Ashe, and then they watched Rob Ashe get fired from getting whipped by the Grizz. And then after they redshirted and then broke in the lineup, they all played right away, and they all have contributed heavily, and they all have done nothing but beat the Grizz. And so, I mean, call it what you want, but I asked each one of these young men, what's your favorite memory as a Bobcat? And they all said beating the Grizz 3 years in a row, we got to make it 4. I'll do anything to make it 4. Mm-hmm. It means everything to them.
Yeah.
And I think the second factor is that's to the Cats' advantage, especially when you compare it to that 2011 game, is the Cats are not number 1 in the country. I think the worst thing that ever happened to the Cats was being number 1 in the country. The Grizz came in there just licking their lips like, right, we are going to destroy the number 1 team in the country. Then they did.
Yeah. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Coming up in this hour, we're going to give away a pair of tickets to Eve 6. This show almost sold out here now at the Top Hat tomorrow night. So they are running scarce to get into the doors tomorrow evening. So we'll give you a pair of tickets. You can go to that thing, have a good time. Wanted to play a little sound for you from each of the coaches just on their sort of broad public statements, which you're sort of required to make about the rivalry in general. We'll hear from Jeff Choate first. This is from yesterday in the press conference.
119th Bro in the Wild, Montana Super Bowl. I don't think we need to talk about it a whole lot, honestly. The hype machine will go into overdrive, but it's really unnecessary. I think that we've got 2 ranked opponents that I think represent the best that this state has to offer on both sides. And so it's interesting now, after being here a couple of years, there's a lot of young men that wear the other colors that are certainly guys that we recruited and know through the recruiting process, came to our camps. You get to know the kids, and it's kind of fun actually to see how they're developing within that program, and I'm sure the same thing's true on the other side.
So there you go. Jeff Choate kind of setting it up a little bit, talking about the players. What Bobby Hauck had to say about the rivalry was eye-opening to me. I did not anticipate this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, Coulter. Here you go, Bobby Hauck from yesterday.
I think about the rivalry game a lot through the year. I grew up around it. And I think we're really lucky to have a long-standing traditional rival. I think it's just a really cool deal that it's been played as many times as it has, and it's just a great game. But I also think that the animosity and the bitterness around it is out of hand, is to the point where I don't think it's healthy. It certainly isn't any fun. And I mean, I know people down there. I've got a lot of friends that are down there, people I've known for 40 years, and I mean, their president's a nice lady, their AD's a nice guy. I mean, I know a lot of those people, and I just think it's become a little bit overbearing, frankly. So, it's a big game. We're going to try hard to win it.
So, first of all, the fact it is interesting. Like, the only thing I can think is Michigan, Ohio State, where there's a rivalry that is long-standing and very bitter that crosses borders. Maybe there's others. But really, there's a whole bunch of schools that don't have an in-state rival either at all in the case of like a Wisconsin.
Right.
Or that their in-state rival, I mean, maybe it's ebbs and flows, but like Oregon State, I mean, the Civil War is a big deal. Don't it's a big deal. But also, it's not that big a deal now because it's just such a, I don't know.
The Apple Cup has a similar dynamic to Montana State. Yep. I think that the Cat-Grizz rivalry is fiercer, though, and
it is
filled with more vitriol.
Well, and I guess the point is, though, is that you're lucky if you're. I mean, even those are great, but even in California, okay, USC, UCLA, maybe
Arkansas, LSU is one that crosses borders.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. But
Oklahoma, Texas.
If you're a place like Wisconsin, if you're a place like Iowa, you're not even in the same conference as Iowa State.
Right.
And they play Colorado State. It's a rivalry, different conferences, different levels, frankly. And they play that game, I think it's the first game of the year or the second game of the year they play that thing. It's not just for granted that you get to the last game of the year and you have a great rivalry game. Some teams do. The Iron Bowl, okay. The Wolverines and the Buckeyes and the Apple Cup and the Civil War. Those are great rivalries. But it's not for granted that you're going to get that. I mean, North Dakota State is not a rivalry, and so to have that is very cool. I was surprised, though, that Bobby Hauck took the onus to address the animosity and bitterness, as he put it, of what he is seeing and or hearing around the rivalry. And in the moment, you go into these press conferences and you say, okay, I have some questions in here and some general thoughts that I'm gonna see how this goes, who asks what, and kind of articulate my questions as well. I had not anticipated him saying that, and if I had known that was going to be there, I would have liked to have asked him what he was hearing or what had happened in the last year and a half or whatever it is that led him to say that, because he didn't flesh that out. And also, he did go on to poke the Cats repeatedly throughout the press conference, which, again, I have no problem with in both directions. I mean, being spiteful and angry and acerbic about something and being the head coach who's going to lead the smack talking in a somewhat understated but yet still very, very deliberate way. I got no problem with that in either direction here whatsoever. And yet also at the point that you say, hey, I think this is getting out of hand. I think this is crazy. I have no idea why they call the mascot champ. Like, those are the things where you go, well, there is a little bit of a disconnect, it seems to me, at least. Like, if you really want to quell it, then quell it. But Bobby Hauck, I mean, we know what he's going to do. He's going to get up there and he's going to say some things a little bit subtly and some things not so subtly, and all of it to the same ends, which are, effectively, we are better than Montana State. I mean, that's the sort of underlying, to me, at least disposition that he is coming at this stuff with. But I would like to know, look, the social media and all of that stuff has allowed everybody to get on there, and some people anonymously or relatively anonymously to say whatever they want to do. All of the, whether it's
it's gross.
The boards and all that they have on there
makes my head hurt.
Well, and it is what it is. And you know what? It's not unique to Missoula or to Bozeman or to Montana. It's everywhere. But I would like to know what Coach Hauck is sort of referring to when he's saying the bitterness and the acrimony about this rivalry? What is it that he's seeing, or is he just saying that? I don't know. And if I had been thinking in the moment, I would have asked him that, but I didn't. Wasn't there for me.
I mean, we could talk for 2 hours about.
Well, I think that's what we're supposed to do. It's our job.
The ins and outs of that specific press conference, Montana press conferences in general. Bobby Hauck, the way he talks, what he says, what he doesn't say. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could do a full 2-hour deal about analyzing Coach Hauck, but we'll spare you. I just don't think that's productive in any sort of way. I think that on one hand, the premise of what Bobby Hauck said yesterday was great. I think that this is my favorite week of the entire year. There's no question about it. Yep. But it's also my least favorite week. Because most people that follow this, that listen to this show, that read Skyline Sports, that follow the Grizz and the Cats passionately, they do it with passion. And they can't understand that someone like me or someone like you could have the equal amount of passion for the sport and have no passion for either team involved. We certainly, as Montana citizens, want Montana and Montana State to be as good as they possibly can, to perform up to par, to meet expectations. We want both of them to be good. But other than that, we have no rooting interest in any of this, but most people can't understand that. And this week it turns into, it doesn't matter what I tweet or what I post or what we write or what we say. People spin it with some sort of, like, we have an agenda. That part I hate. And then when it gets to the point where it's not just, oh, you're a Grizz guy, you're a Cat guy, I can handle that. I got thick enough skin. Whatever. If you think that I wrote a story about the Grizz, so that makes me a Grizz fan, or I wrote a story about the Cats, makes me a Cat fan, fine. Bring it on. Thanks for reading. That's what I always say. But when it turns ugly, I mean, there was some Twitter stuff going on over the weekend into Monday where there was some Grizz people getting after a Bozeman reporter for predicting that Montana was going to lose to Weber State, which, by the way, is not some outrageous prediction. I mean, Weber State was the number 3 team in the country. Right. And she said, I think that the Wildcats will win a hard-fought game.
I predicted Montana to win by 1.
Exactly, and the Twitter just goes off calling this poor girl like every name in the book, and accusing her of being a cat and blah blah blah. And she's like from Louisiana, and she's like just in Bozeman at her first job, doing her best, and she does a good job. And that kind of stuff just makes me so infuriated.
But do you think that's what Coach Hauck is referring to? Is the social media stuff?
So on one hand, I think broadly what he said was good. I think that it fell completely flat for 2 reasons. First of all, there has been no person that has publicly instigated the hate that exists in the Cat-Grizz rivalry more than Bobby Hauck over the last 15 or 20 years. Nobody. So he just looks like a hypocrite right away. When he says that opening statement and then 9 minutes later makes a joke, which, by the way, like, I agree with you, I have no problem with. I think it's funny. I think it's great.
Funny.
I think it's great promotion of the game. I laughed out loud at the joke, but he said, I don't understand why they call their Bobcat champ, or why they call the mascot champ.
Yeah. Great line.
It was a smart aleck, but it makes him seem like he's a hypocrite. But then the last point I'll make is, if you want to nail it, if you want to nail your opening statement, I mean, there's no question asked to him right there. He sits down, says, this is what I'm going to say.
Yep.
He planned on saying it.
Yeah.
His name's Leon Costello. Her name is Waded Cruzado. It's very easy to say that and legitimize your statement. Very easy. She's the president. I mean, she Waded Cruzado is the most powerful public figure in the state of Montana. You should use her name. Don't call her the lady president. Mm-hmm. Leon Costello is a very polite, nice, great guy who we enjoy much, and he's been on the show. Use his name. It gives you more power.
Yeah,
that's all.
I think that's fair. And again, broadly speaking, I understand. Here's the thing: it's sort of an odd situation when you, as the head coach, I mean, hate is a strong word, but can we have a little bit of nuance understanding on this? Okay. In the context of a football game, you as a football player, it isn't that crazy to say hate is the emotion that you are sort of working on and building up towards to play really in any football game, and particularly a rivalry football game. But it's also because it's a physical, violent sport that takes a lot of emotion, some of it negative, directed towards your opponent to play and play well. To be able to do that and to be the coach that generates that in your team both directions takes an edge that you have to be able to instill, and also has to have a border around it that the context of this is a football game. None of the fans are playing in a football game. None of the, you can think whatever you want to think about which school or which city and whatever that you want to. But at the end of the day, the way that a game transpires on a field to make you turn into a moron or worse is craziness. Yet, why you can't go, hey, your mascot should never be named. Like, if a fan were to say, it's great. You should smack talk in the stands. That's fun. Do it in a fun way. But obviously, 19 beers too many down the line, and all of a sudden, you can't say that about my mascot. And then, people are falling down the stairs. And that is asinine.
Any argument, any rivalry, any sort of circumstance like this, sports or otherwise, I think that the way that you have the utmost authority is to remove emotion from the situation. There's all your ammunition. You can have emotion behind it, but if you want to, if you want to be the best smack talker of all time, remove emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's. I think it's true. I mean, you're right in a lot of ways. Fans can't remove emotion, though. I mean, that when you talk about what this is, it is emotional at its root. That's why it's a great rivalry. But it has to be directed in the right way. That's when you can't lose touch with where or how you do it. So, I don't know. Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Take a break. On the other side, Danny Sprinkle. He's the head coach of the Montana State men's basketball team. They're 4-1. They've won 4 straight. They're on their way to play Grand Canyon this evening, and they're doing very well. We'll hear a former Cat player who's the current Cat coach, going to coach in a basketball game in Arizona and then be back for the Cat Grizz football game. Lots of stuff going on, so we'll look forward to talking with him in a moment. Hey, right now, it's a great time to get yourself a car detailing. Yes, a detailing. Shine Auto Detailing. Get your car cleaned up. Make it look great. You'll feel nice driving around in a nice, perfect car. And also, they can put a ceramic coating on that thing that will protect your car in the winter months. Sand, salt, dirt, everything that we know flies around, chips, rock chips, everything. In the winter, it will protect your car. So in the spring, you wash it again, or anytime when you wash it. Perfect. You don't have any problems whatsoever. Your car is protected. You also, any detailing you get, a free headlight restoration. Be safe, be protected, look great in your car. Shine Auto Detailing.
Hey, it's Coulter, and I'm here with Catherine from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident or need help dealing with the insurance companies, you should give The Advocates a call. They can tell you if you have a case right over the phone.
That's right. It doesn't cost anything to call, and we'd be happy to talk to you and assess your situation. You don't want to have to deal with contacting the insurance companies and setting up a claim. We can do that for you. We take the hassle out of the process, so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give The Advocates a call, 406-640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. You deserve The Advocates.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. Well, more like Les Schwab alignment and brakes and shocks and wheels and tires. Now, some tire places don't offer all that. They only sell tires. And we're not sure how they sleep at night, because all those services affect things like steering and stopping. That's why we offer more than tires to help keep you safe. Stop by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
Gather your friends and family and join the Montana Club for their annual Thanksgiving feast, featuring succulent oven-roasted turkey or tender, juicy prime rib, and all the mouth-watering sides. And don't forget the pie. Enjoy home-style pecan, pumpkin, or pumpkin cheesecake to top off your meal. Thanksgiving feast starts at 11 a.m., and they'll also offer their full menu as well. Open 8 to 7 Thanksgiving Day. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, ooh, pump it up.
Refresh yourself at your local Town Pump. Get a 32-ounce fountain drink for $1.19. While you're there, grab a couple of everything bagels in the deli, 2 for $5. Town Pump, so convenient and right down the road from you.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up, oh yeah.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Hey there, Colter Nuanez from your favorite daily sports talk show, Tootell Nuanez. I'm here with Tom from Aspen Sound. Tom, last winter I got a sweet car starter. It's something I think everybody needs.
You know, Colter, I couldn't agree more, and my wife sure thinks so too. We've got a lot of sweet deals. We actually have it capable now where you can start it from your phone from anywhere you'd like. We have two-way remotes that'll confirm to you the vehicle started all the way down to our basic package starting at just $299 installed. Come on in and check us out.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colter Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. Colter, why don't you start it off for us today, my man?
Somewhere in the world we have this stuff, but rivalry week and state championship week around the Treasure State got off to an inauspicious start for the University of Montana. For the first time since 1947, the UM men's basketball team lost to Montana Tech. The Orediggers of the NAIA overcame a 5-point deficit in the last 2 minutes of the game, forcing 3 turnovers in the final 87 seconds to rally for a 74-72 win in front of a mostly stunned crowd of 2,857 on Monday night. Sindhu Diallo scored 24 points to lead the upset bid for the Digs, who dished out 20 assists on 28 made baskets and knocked down 10 of 19 threes. UM senior Kendall Manuel scored 22 points but missed 4 of his 5 tries from deep as the Grizz fell to 1-3.
The state volleyball tournament wrapped up over the weekend, and for the second straight year, Helena Capital are state champions in the Class AA. The Bruins marched to their second straight crown in dominant fashion. They played 4 matches. They only lost 2 sets in 4 total matches, including a sweep of Helena High for the championship.
In a Class A volleyball, Corvallis beat 2-time defending state champion Billings Central in the undefeated semifinal, then swept the Rams in the finals to deny Central a three-peat. And Huntley Project, they've won 101 straight matches, 3 straight state titles, 11 out of the last 15 in Class B.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
The Montana State men's basketball team off to a very good start in Danny Sprinkle's first year as the head coach. 4-1, including coming off 3 straight wins at the Spartan Invitational in Greensboro, North Carolina. Danny Sprinkle join us in just a moment. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. And on December the 7th, it's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., they're having their 7th annual snow day. It is the biggest sale of the entire year. It's one day only, December 7th at Kurtz Polaris. Well, we go now to the Rangich Brothers RV phone line, and we welcome in the head men's basketball coach of the Montana State Bobcats, Danny Sprinkle. The Bobcats this season already 4-1, coming off 3 straight wins at the Spartan Invitational, including, you might have seen it on SportsCenter Top 10.
It was the number 1 play.
Game winner from Harold Frey, an more than half-court buzzer beater over UNCG. We appreciate Coach Sprinkle being on with us. Coach, how are you?
Doing great. Just down here in Phoenix, getting ready for one more tonight. And obviously, we've been on the road for 6 days. We're excited to play tonight and get back home.
Yeah, well, I would think you're doing pretty well, although we're a little road weary. But talk about your team. First of all, let's talk about the play. You're sitting there. UNCG makes a layup with, 3 seconds left to take a 2-point lead. You don't call a timeout. You say, let's play this thing out. You give it to Harold Frey, and, of course, he buries it from 75 feet or whatever it is. And I watched you on that play kind of shift up, and you kind of looked like you were getting ready, okay, well, we got to shake hands, and that's what it's going to be. And then the thing goes down, and I thought, Danny Sprinkle's ready to put his jersey on. He's ready to get out there and play a little bit. Talk about that moment, though.
It was awesome. It was, I was in a complete crouch. And,
yes.
And I don't know what happened, but I'll tell you what, my knee hurt the next day. I haven't jumped that high in a long time. But, what an incredible shot, by Harold. And it was great awareness by Almond, who Jabril did a great job, contesting the shot. And he got hit in the chest and fell straight back, so he was down on his butt. And Almond went and took the ball out and got it to Harold. And obviously the rest is history from there. I mean, he kind of made the shot just like we draw it up as coaches, huh?
Yeah, exactly right.
He made us look like we could coach, but no, I mean it was just an unbelievable shot by Harold. But that was just one shot. People forget he hit a 3 at the end of the first half too, which was huge, pulling us within 4 because they had kind of pulled away a little bit. I think they got up 9, and we went on a 5-0 run to finish the half. But those are just I mean, obviously it's a huge play because everybody just sees the ending, but there was so many plays within that game that led up to that moment from all of our players.
Basketball is such a cool sport because it is a sport where you are consistently going to have wins and losses happen at the buzzer, one way or another. When it happens like that, though, obviously it's a high water mark emotionally in the moment, but what can that facilitate something in your team where there's just like a little bit more bounce, a little more juice as you go because of the way that went, and that can linger over time?
Oh, no question. I mean, it's obviously just beating a team like UNC Greensboro. I mean, that's an NCAA tournament team, 2 or 3 of the last, couple of years. And they got a lot of veterans back. And, I think I saw some stat that we're only the 3rd team to beat them the last 3 years in their gym. And, for our young team to do that, kind of shows the belief that they have and the belief in each other, just our competitiveness and our resiliency is what really stood out to me when I watched that film, because there were so many times where our guys could have, they could have packed it in and just said, well, we played a really good team close at home. And, they weren't going to settle for that.
Your team overall, 4-1, you guys have been so good defensively, so improved compared to the last couple of years at Montana State defensively. And also on offense, it seems like you guys are playing with a pretty good flow, especially considering you got a bunch of guys that are new to the program, relatively new with playing with each other. So overall, what's just your overall evaluation of the way you guys are playing 5 games into this season?
Really happy defensively where we're at. We're playing team defense. We're really doing a good job, shrinking the floor and getting back in transition. And that's something that we have to continue to work on and continue to get better at, because we have to do that to win games. We're not talented enough and veteran enough yet to not do that. Offensively, I think we're doing a good job moving the ball. We have to be prepared for, people are going to do different things to Harold every game. They're going to trap him off ball screens. Who knows if we see boxing 1s, triangles, 2s. We got to be prepared for everything. But, proud of how everybody else is kind of stepping up, especially, some of the newcomers. Michael Paulo's had some good games. Amin Adamu, Jabril Bello's been a beast down low. And, everybody's kind of, they're sharing the ball. We're not just reliant on Harold. Against Greensboro, that last second 3 he hit, that was the only shot he made in the second half. But we still competed with a great defensive team with him only making 1 shot in the second half. And so, everybody else, every bucket of water, and that's what's kind of making us good so far.
Danny Sprinkle joining us. He's the head coach of the Montana State men's basketball team. They're 4-1, coming off of 4 straight victories, headed to Grand Canyon University to play game number 6 of the season. And, Coach, it must be nice to have a $5 million recruiting budget, because you have gone all over the earth, wherever you've wanted to get your team together. I mean, this is remarkable. You got Germany, England, Norway, Canada, obviously plenty of guys from around the U.S. as well. But where, when you talk about the international flavor of basketball in general, sometimes it takes a little while for that to make it to Montana. How did you go about with your staff collecting this group of guys that have played so very well?
Well, it's kind of just connections of, where we know people. And obviously a lot of the overseas connections, Chris Haslam's done a great job. He obviously recruited Harold Bray, Jabril Bello. He had placed Amin Adamu with Coach Russell, who's on my staff now too. And so, and obviously Coach Russell coached Amin last year and had great things to say about him. And so obviously he came up too. But I mean, you look, even when Finn Flute and Borja that we got, it was just kind of overseas connections and different people that we know. And we're fortunate, and they're fits for Montana State. They're fits academically, socially, they love it. They're grateful for the opportunity that Montana State's given them. And I mean, the one thing I can say is, no matter how we play, is they're good kids, and they're going to represent Montana State well. And we're really fortunate to have the guys on our team that we do.
Well, you're in sunny Phoenix. You got a big game tonight. We really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out on game day, but at Grand Canyon to end this road trip. And first of all, Coach, I know you just got done with shoot-around. I've heard that Grand Canyon's facilities are top-notch. I heard that they've poured a ton of money into that program and that they are definitely a program on the rise. So what's your experience been like so far in Phoenix, and what do you expect from the game tonight?
Yeah, no, it's going to be rocking. We're actually driving to shoot around right now. We're actually on the bus there, getting ready to pull into the arena right now to shoot around. But it's probably the most raucous environment, on this side of the Mississippi. Their students, they were camping out yesterday when we practiced, at 3:00 in the afternoon. And they have 3,000 students literally camping outside, and so it's going to be awesome. It's going to be loud, and it's great for our guys to experience this. We've been through a similar deal at Utah State, the first game of the year, where they have a great student section too, and it's going to be just like that tonight, where sometimes you can't hear yourself, and we're going to have hand signals, to correspond plays and things like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to us just being us. We have to play, we have to execute, we got to take care of the ball, and above anything else, we have to guard. And that's one thing that we've done, the first 5 games of the year, and we're going to need another effort like that tonight.
Well, Coach, last question for you here. You may be aware there's a football game also going on this weekend in Bowstown. And so I know you've been on the road, but when you get back there, what do you think it's going to be like to be back on campus, and especially with your basketball team? What is the role? Because I know teams, they want to be there for the other, teams within the department and all that. What's it like a Cat Grizz weekend going to be, especially when it's a home game for you?
It's awesome because the whole town is just going crazy. And, everywhere you go, all it's going to be this weekend is Cat Grizz stuff. And, it's awesome. Like our new guys, our freshmen, they have no idea what's going on. Right. And, but they're about to find out when they get back to campus. And, but I'll tell you what, I'm smart enough because playing at Montana State, I know what goes on Friday nights, and that's why we're going to practice Saturday morning before the game. So it's going to be, but it'll be fun. I want our guys to enjoy it because that's one of the special things about going to school at Montana State is that rivalry, and I want them to after practice be able to soak in that experience, because it is special. It's one of the, you guys know it, and the people that have been a part of it know that it's probably one of the 5 best rivalries in the country.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate it. Congratulations on an outstanding start to the season here for you. Best of luck tonight at GCU, and we'll look forward to watching your team on throughout the course of this season, okay?
You got it. Appreciate you guys.
Well, he's on the bus, man, cruising over to the game tonight, so we appreciate him taking the time out and doing that. Man, they have looked good, man. If you've watched Montana State play, impressive to see what they've put together, all the international players and a couple of guys coming in veteran roles now, Ricketts, Kirby, etc. And to get that win against Carolina Greensboro, that's a huge win, man. Like as he referenced, a tournament team, outstanding stuff, and now on a 4-game winning streak playing at Grand Canyon tonight. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Montana Grizzlies, who early part of their season has not been going as well. In fact, it went very poorly last night. A surprising upset loss at the hands of Montana Tech. So we will get into that a little bit. What happened and where is the Montana Grizzly men's basketball team here 4 games into their season? Before we get out, though, want to open up the phone lines to you. 329-1899, boys and girls. Eve 6 tomorrow night. Eve 6 going to be playing at the Top Hat. We got a pair of tickets for you. 329-1899. This show is almost sold out. It's going to be sold out by the time doors open tomorrow. So you got to get it while the getting's good. Pair of tickets, a Wednesday night show at the Top Hat to go see Eve 6. It's going to be a lot of fun. 329-1899. We got a pair of tickets for you right now. Coulter, holidays are coming up. People traveling all the time, places to go. Maybe your house isn't big enough, or maybe you just don't want it to be big enough for the people who are coming, or maybe you are on the road coming in and out of Missoula all the time. Hey, the Wingate by Wyndham, that's where you need to go. They got everything covered for you there.
Next week's Thanksgiving. Got in-laws coming to town. You want to keep them at arm's length? Send them to the Wingate. Tell them they'll love it, because they will. Great pool, water slide if they got kids. One of the best breakfasts any hotel you'll find anywhere. Ample parking that's free for all guests. Easy access to Missoula with the freeway right there. Gets right off of Airport Boulevard.
Plus, if you put your family in there, you can go swim in the pool.
And the friendliest staff in town. Brilliant. Let your in-laws stay at the Wingate by Wyndham. Drop your kids and their kids off.
Off to the movies.
See you later.
Yeah.
Movies.
Beautiful.
Missoula Winery. Big Sky Brewing. Everything is at your disposal.
Cat Grizz
right
game.
Cat Grizz
Head to
game.
Bozeman, sure.
Let the Wingate by Wyndham make you feel at home even when you're not. Do you know what's at stake after a car accident? Not only will you have to deal with pushy insurance companies, auto repair shops, endless doctor's appointments, and dozens of unforeseen problems, but also your normal day-to-day life. I'm Coulter here with Catherine from the Advocates Injury Attorneys, and she knows how hard this can be.
That's right. And with all of that, it can seem tempting to take the quick settlement that the insurance company is offering. But I can tell you from experience that it is not going to be a fair amount. I see it all the time where someone has settled with the insurance company and months later realizes that they still have pain from the accident, and now they're having to pay those bills out of their pocket. I don't want that to happen to anyone.
So what should our listeners do, Catherine?
Give us a call and discuss your situation with an attorney. The call is free and we'll gladly talk about your situation with you. If you have a case that we can help with, you will owe us nothing out of pocket. We actually make the insurance company pay for us to help you.
There you have it. Call the Advocates at 406-640-4444 or go online, montanaadvocates.com. You deserve the Advocates on your side.
Selway Armory on Black Friday is the one store you have to visit to save huge on guns, ammo, and accessories. Check out Selway Armory's insert in the Thanksgiving edition of the Missoulian before Black Friday to see all of the unbelievable inventory and savings they have in store for you. Put Selway Armory on your schedule and get there this Black Friday and Saturday for the sale of the year. Get to the store at 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6 behind IHOP on North Reserve. Selway Armory's Black Friday sale. Shop local, save money, shoot more.
There's a saying, opportunity never knocks twice. When you're ready to take advantage of your next opportunity, look to your local bank. Opportunity Bank of Montana. Opportunity Bank offers options for mortgage loans, small business loans, equipment financing, agriculture, and more. Our experienced team can provide solutions to help you welcome your next big opportunity. There's nothing like the feeling of progress. So let's get started today. Come see us at your local Opportunity Bank of Montana. OpportunityBank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405. Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Tootell and Nuanez. Listen to the podcast on the TuneIn Radio app or on iTunes, 1029ESPN.com.
Congratulations to Brittany. She's going to the Eve 6 concert. Tootell Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula. Saturday, September the 7th, snow day. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., one day only. Kurtz Polaris, go there. If you'd like to find us, we're all over the social medias, being very kind and affable, I might add. Okay? At Gus Tootell, happiness. At 1029 ESPN, joy. At Skyline Sports MT, straight facts. Information Okay, that's what you're going to get. No hate, no misery, no condemnation. It's not what we're going to do around here.
I have a little commentary from the best writer at Skyline Sports.
Brooks is going to write something?
Ryan Tootell might be making his illustrious return. I don't know. No pressure.
I mean, I wrote.
We're going to run out of time. I shouldn't even tease this.
I've written a line. You are putting me under the gun. Can I get a chicken sandwich out of this?
Oh, sure.
Skyline
I'll
budget?
buy you Skyline. I'll buy you chicken sandwiches all weekend.
Oh. I'll have it done in 35 minutes. Ty Gregorak going to be with us in about 10 minutes to talk about all things Cat Grizz related football. Obviously, a long-standing coach with both Montana and Montana State, and we're certainly looking forward to having him here. Stick around with us for him at the top of the hour. But Coulter, we got to talk about what happened in Dahlberg Arena last night. The Montana Grizzly men's basketball team. You know, we get everybody so pumped up about the football. And you go, okay, well, what's going on in the basketball world? And Montana Grizzlies lost last night at home to Montana Tech, 72-74, the final of that game. Montana Tech had not beaten the Grizzlies since 1947. And this is when was the last time that Montana lost to an NAIA team?
I mean, I don't know, man. There's really no way to splice this thing. That was one of the worst losses in program history.
It is awful. An awful, awful loss. And look, on one hand, you want to sit here and go, Montana Tech, you know, they came out and played a really good game. Sinadu Diallo was sensational last night. Really, really good player. And you go, well, how did Montana Tech come up with this guy? I mean, this is the real deal. But there's no... These are supposed to be, quote unquote, supposed to be scheduled wins. I mean, that's what this is. And when you lose them, especially when, frankly, Montana has not been playing well. I mean, you lose to Arkansas. Actually, the Arkansas game was okay. They really, especially in the second half, played much better. Montana did, but in their opening game against MSU Northern, playing the Lights, they pulled out a victory, but they did not look good in that basketball game at all. And then losing this game, I mean, that is a real that's to lose to a non-Division I program as a Division I school and a front runner in the conference. And we know what Montana has been in the last several years and what the expectations are, and starting with Travis DeCure and then from there on out, really surprising to lose this basketball game. I wonder too, Coulter. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
A couple stats here from David in the back. Thank you, David. 1982 was the last time that the Grizz lost to a that lost to an NAIA school, period. Tonight, that loss to Tech was the first non-D1 loss since they lost to Alaska Anchorage 2002-2003. I believe that was in the Greater Alaska Shootout, which Alaska Anchorage hosts every year and has attracted headliner teams. Michigan State, Duke, many teams have gone up there. And the last non-D1 home loss, 1980-1981 to Puget Sound.
You know, this reminds me of Kentucky-Evansville last week. Evansville beating what was then the number one team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats, in a huge and disappointing and maybe embarrassing loss for Kentucky. But you know what we've seen at Kentucky since they've gone to the one-and-done model? I mean, the Calipari's been doing it forever. They get so much better over the course of the year, and part of it is because they have just a ton of children playing basketball that have never played the basketball together, certainly not at that level. And Montana, I mean, this is one of the youngest teams that we've ever seen. I mean, you got Saeed Pridgett as the senior on there, along with Kendall Manuel, but they are starting 2 or 3 freshmen, and 4 of them are getting really big minutes, either true freshmen or rotating guy, redshirt freshmen. And that is, I mean, you're seeing the issues there. I think Travis DeCure, after the game yesterday, though, also questioned the respect, frankly, that we're giving to another team, that you have to have your A game every night and show them respect. And when people say play the game the right way, that's what you have to do. And to not do that, it jumped up and bit them yesterday. And this is a bad loss for the Grizzlies.
Well, you absolutely have to know that when you're playing a team like Montana Tech, it's their championship.
They're coming for everything.
Super Bowl,
absolutely,
for lack of a co-sport analogy. Right. I mean, yeah, they are. And it's so often at that level, you're going to have a veteran team that's experienced and has played together. I mean, there's not like this crazy wave of transferring that goes on at the NAIA level like there is at D1. But we saw it against Northern. Northern out-executed Montana for 3/4 of that game.
Yeah.
It's a bad loss, though. At the end of the day, Carroll College played for the NAIA National Championship a year ago. Montana Western's been perennial NAIA powers. Rocky Mountain College has been highly competitive, especially with Jared Samuelson the last couple of years. Montana Tech's not good. They're not even good in the Frontier. They were picked to finish 5th out of 7 teams in the Frontier. They're not even as good as Montana State Northern. So it's not as if you lost to a team that played for the NAIA National Championship last year.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's a bad loss. It's more than just a single loss on the schedule. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 straight ahead. Ty Gregorak in studio with us. It's Cat Grizz Week. Well, he's about the best person you could ever have to talk about that and everything else surrounding it right after this. Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Your Earl Grey tea gets a lot more exciting when Florence Coffee Company turns it into a London fog. This delicious beverage has become popular in the Northwest for a good reason. Steamed milk, vanilla, and Earl Grey tea combine to give you a drink that is uplifting and calming at the same time. It's the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. Try a London fog today at any Florence Coffee location or go to florencecoffeeco.com.
The best flavor under the big sky. Florence Coffee Company.
More than 60 years ago, R.J. Rangich opened up Rangich Brothers with one thing in mind: quality and family tradition. Those family traditions continue today and live through our family, staff, and those who buy our RVs. So whether your travels include the shores of Flathead, Glacier Peaks, Yellowstone Geysers, or the hidden gems in between, jump into Jayco and experience the best freedom you and your family will ever know. Only where a handshake means something. Rangich Brothers RV Center.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Have you been hurt or disabled? Are you missing time from work and not sure what to do? I'm attorney Chris Helmer, and Clark Fork Law Offices in Missoula is here to help. Our team specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. We fight for the benefits you deserve. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Rivalry week and state championship week around the Treasure State got off to an inauspicious start for the University of Montana. For the first time since 1947, the UM men's basketball team lost to Montana Tech. The Orediggers of the NAIA overcame a 5-point deficit in the last 2 minutes of the game, forcing 3 turnovers in the final 87 seconds to rally for a 74-72 win in front of a mostly stunned crowd of 2,800 plus on Monday night. Sindao Diallo scored 24 points to lead the upset bid as the Digs dished out 20 assists on 28 made baskets and knocked down 10 of 19 from beyond the arc. UM senior Kendall Manuel scored 22 points but missed 4 of his 5 tries from deep as the Grizz fell to 1-3.
For the second straight year, Helena Capital, the state volleyball champions in Class AA, the Bruins marched to their second straight crown in dominant fashion. They swept Bozeman, needed just 4 sets against Billings West and Great Falls CMR, and then swept Helena High in the championship.
In the Class A volleyball tournament, Corvallis beat 2-time defending state champion Billings Central in the undefeated semifinal and then swept the Rams in the finals to deny Central a three-peat. In Class B, Huntley Project's unprecedented reign continued. The Red Devils have now won 101 straight matches to set a new state record. They've now won 11 of the last 15 state titles. In Class C, Manhattan Christian, your champs.
This ESPN Sports Center is presented by Clark Fork Law.
Every morning there's a heartache hanging from the corner of my girlfriend's four-post bed.
Cat Grizz number 119, Saturday. Not surprisingly, then, that is the focus of what we're about this week with Ty Gregorek in studio. It's Tootell Nuanez broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, December 7th, Saturday. It's a snow day. It's the one and only of the entire year, best sale of the year, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Kurtz Polaris. If you missed anything in the first hour, check it out on the podcast. The Tootell Nuanez podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. It's there thanks to the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. We are happy now to be welcoming in studio a former Colorado Buffalo football player, a former Montana and Montana State coach, and current friend, Ty Gregorek. Ty, how are you, man? Great to see you.
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you here. And obviously there's so much that there is to talk about this game, and you obviously have a very unique perspective on it from what a lot of people have, and an insider perspective that no one else has. But when you look at this game Saturday, this one coming up, what do you see these two teams meeting as top 10 teams in the country? And, I mean, I couldn't be more excited about this football game in general.
Well, I think you're one of
a million.
Yeah.
Yes, one of a million. That's what my mom's always said about me, by the way.
We got just over 1 million people in this big, beautiful state, and everybody's fired up for it. It's set up quite nicely for the 119th brawl, and both teams are playing at a high level. Like you said, both in the top 10. They've taken care of business in November, which is what both coaches always preach and talk about, and the games they remember are definitely played in November, and both teams have set this thing up to be one heck of a finale. And I say finale, it's the end of the regular season, but both have put themselves in position to keep playing ball after Saturday, which is awesome.
I think that's the best part about this specific game is last couple of years, sometimes when you have a chance to make your season by winning the Cat Grizz game in what has otherwise been a disappointing season, like Montana State in 2016, where you get to deny the opposite side, there's a lot of juice that comes from that. But also, I think that just for the people of this state, it's great because this game is for all the marbles, but also they're both going to be playing a week afterwards. So, it's interesting, though. This is the second time the two teams have been ranked in the top 10 simultaneously going into this game. 2011, the last time. I know you were coaching at Montana at that time. And the parallels between that game and this game are somewhat similar. You're talking about second year under Robin Pflugrad, second year under Bobby Houck, fifth year under Rob Ash, fourth year under Jeff Choate. The Cats, for a moment in time, had kind of been the favorite, and they'd won the previous year. But then a supercharged Montana team, so much momentum come into that game, and they go into Bozeman. They beat the number one team in the country. I think that the parallels kind of stop at the kickoff for this game, but there is so many parallels, especially you could even compare personnel. I mean, Caleb McSurdy, Dante Olson. Back and forth, there's a lot of different parallels. But we led with the 2011 game. What do you remember about that game? Because that was a game where both teams were really juiced up. I mean, that was the first time the Cats been number one in the country since 1978. So it was definitely a powerhouse game where big-time ramifications in the playoff picture as well.
Oh, no question. It was a great day. To take down the number one team in the country at the time was awesome. I mean, we both had good teams. Mm-hmm. I keep reading about how 2009 was the last Big Sky championship for Montana, and make no mistake, that 2011 team was very, very good.
Right.
And we were very close to making it back to then it was Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. We had to go down to Sam Houston State, and a lot of things started unfolding in this town. But yeah, it was a great day. I mean, Denarius still kind of ribs me about our corner blitz. Still, I think gives him nightmares. He wakes up in a cold sweat because I don't know how many times we called it, and we connected a few times. I think one was for a safety / fumble, and we hit him pretty good down in the one end zone there, away from the blockhouse, and it was a remarkable day. We took care of business. To win the game is awesome. To win on the road, there's just something even kind of sweeter. So it was a fantastic day.
From that perspective, there's only been 2 home teams this decade that have won at home. 2014 Grizz, 2017 Bobcats. Otherwise, Cats are 4-1 on the road in this game the last 10 years, and the Grizz are 3-1. Is that just a coincidence, or is there anything you can point to? Is there more pressure on the home team?
No. I think it's just kind of the way the cookie crumbled each time, and it's an interesting series. And the obviously the record is dramatically in favor of Montana. The streak didn't help the record. Totally. Those 16 years from, what was it, 86 to 2002? Does that sound right?
Yep.
That really made it much more dramatic, because when you look at since 2002, obviously we had a good run in Bobby's first go around. I was thinking on the way over here, it's kind of crazy to think. There's the teams that I got to be a part of. We lost 2 of the first 3,
right?
In 3 and 5
when Kramer had it rolling.
Yeah, Travis Lulay, and Travis Lulay was such a fantastic quarterback and player, and they had some good teams. But then I was fortunate enough to be a part of teams that won 11 of the next 12. So it's just it's interesting. And then since 2010, when Montana came here, when Montana State came to Missoula. In I wasn't here, but I heard it was just a crazy cold day.
Crazy cold.
They broke out the uniforms that I would imagine we'll probably never see again.
The black and orange,
and then lost, and guys like Chase Reynolds, who's one of the great running backs that this place has had, and he had a tough day, especially as they got closer to the goal line, the way I remember it, and coughed up the ball a couple times, and so this decade, from 2010 to what's soon to be 2020. This game's kind of big in terms of the series and how it's going to split.
Well, I said that on our Big Sky Breakdown podcast yesterday. You can go check that out, SkylineSportsMT.com.
Nice. Seamless.
When you talk about the Big Sky Conference era, Big Sky Conference founded in 1963. The Cats won 17 of the first 23. The Grizz then win 16 straight. And then it's been 9-8 in favor of the Grizz since then. So you talk about long streaks both sides, but actually in the modern era, it's 31-25 Grizz. And that to me is a great, healthy, sweet rivalry. There's a lot of unhealthy parts outside of the rivalry, but on the playing field, it's been really back and forth, especially these last 20 years. I think this, in terms of competitiveness on both sides, this is probably the golden age of this rivalry, the last probably 15 matchups.
Well, I think everybody likes to say throw the records out, right? I mean, just throw the records out. It's going to be a fantastic day, and both teams are playing such great football right now. The defenses of both teams, I think, are playing really, really well. Montana State's offense has been starting to click just a little bit these last few weeks, and I think like I said, both defenses are playing really, really well. To watch Montana State go down to UC Davis, especially getting that quarterback back, they've been playing fantastic. I got to watch the Weber State game, and Weber State, the job that Jay Hill has done. I mean, they've kind of been the physical bullies on the block the last 3-4 years, and we all saw who the most physical team was on Saturday, and that was a huge win. Great win by both programs leading into this week.
Ty Gregorek in studio with us, former defensive coach for the Montana Grizzlies and Montana State Bobcats. And Ty, you alluded to the fact that your record in this game is very good, something like 80%, something like that, in terms of being on the right side in terms of the winning team. But I'm wondering this game means everything every year, but also the dynamics of it shift. This is a top 10 matchup. Both these teams are going to the playoffs. Last year was to go to the playoffs at all, so there's different weight on that. Is there added pressure to Montana because they've lost 3 straight years coming into this?
I don't think so. I think that the easy answer would be yes.
That's why I asked it. I'm just here for these, teeing them up.
No, I think that to have that first week off, okay, in terms of the playoffs, is such an advantage. And I know that both coaches have probably not this week, But in months prior, and maybe not even the last 2 or 3 months, but starting when the boys come back in January, obviously you want to fight for a Big Sky championship. That's what every team wants to compete for, because if you win the Big Sky, you get the automatic bid. If you don't win the Big Sky and you're in the first or the top 2 or 3, you're going to get in. I mean, the conference is too. It's funny to hear people. In fact, my grandpa and I would just kind of not an argument, but a conversation about how weak the conference is, and it's like, okay, Pop, we got 4 teams in the top. I think the last time I talked to him, I think that we had 4 teams in the top 10 or
top 8 this week,
probably 12. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a pretty good conference. And
when you have 13 teams, you can have a really strong conference and a really weak conference all at the same time, right?
The problem is you've got some teams down the line that have really struggled, and it's too bad. But that's, you look at a lot of conferences, and that's the way it is. That's life. It's going to be an interesting Saturday. The weather's supposed to be great. We've had some of the coldest days in the brawls, and we've had some fantastic days. It's supposed to be about 44 degrees and mostly sunny, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to watch it just as a fan, most likely on my television, which is great. But yeah, it's I'm going to take my son Jax to Naranche on Friday and go watch the first Montana State Championship since I've been in Montana, which would be a lot of fun. It never could before because we're we're preparing for the day after, and so I'm going to go watch some good football on Friday night, and then just watch a bunch of good football, one in particular on Saturday.
I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed you in my career and in your career, but we wanted to have you in here more as an analyst, an expert, a guy that knows football, because you're kind of in the media a little bit now too, working at Root. So I do want to ask you that from a personal level, though. You spent so much time on the sidelines in college football, whether it's as a player or as a coach, watching the game from a non-participatory angle. What's that like?
Yeah, and I've tried to watch every Grizz and Bobcat game this year that I could. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to. I really wanted to do one or more for Root. I got to do 3 games for Root. I'm not going to do the brawl. I found that out. I don't even know, today is Tuesday, so I found that out yesterday or Sunday night, I guess, which would have been fun. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to watch for sure. I mean, and like we all know, the 2 stadiums here in Montana are great. I mean, there's really not a bad seat in the house, but it's pretty fun to watch it on a nice HD TV and not wait in a line to go use the restroom. And if you want something cold, you can walk 10 feet to your fridge, and it's been fun. I mean, it's just you can watch the watch the game as a fan, and it's been interesting for sure. But it has been fun. I mean, early in the fall we had Saturday flag football games, and those finally were done, and then we went to Tuesdays, I think, and so it's just been fun to watch a lot of college football. It's been fun to watch pro football. I mean, as a college football coach, you really don't get to watch a ton of pro football because Sundays are you usually get Sunday morning or partially Sunday mornings off, and then you come in and you start preparing for the next week. So it's a huge preparation day, and maybe Monday nights late you get to watch the last part of Monday Night Football, or Thursday nights usually in the coaches world kind of date night, and since the NFL started doing Thursday night games, you might get to watch some. But it's been fun just getting to watch all levels of football. Like I said, I've taken my boy to go watch Bozeman High. We've watched high school ball. I've got to see some college ball. Didn't get to make a pro game, but shoot, the pros still got a bunch of season left. Maybe we'll try to swing over to Seattle or Denver, and I don't know. It's been interesting but fun to be a fan.
When you look at this football game from a football standpoint, not from a fan standpoint,
sure,
as the defensive genius and guru that you are,
right? There's a lot of people out there saying, that's not true.
But look, man, I mean, we've watched a lot of football, but every time I watch a game, I see what's happening, but I don't really see what's happening. I mean, even coaches, you got to go watch how many hours of film to get what in the world the team is trying to do and so forth. But when you look at, let's start with Montana and their voodoo defense or whatever it is, and their sort of very odd 5 DB sort of base that they run. What is it that they're doing, and what is the personnel like? When you talk about a Dante Olson, what does he allow them to do because of how well he can move that maybe other teams that don't have a guy with that sort of speed and athleticism wouldn't be able to do?
Yeah, it's not as voodoo as you think. I mean, it was so funny to see and hear. Or I guess I read when Coach Houck called it this, BS voodoo defense that we run. That's that's flat balling. Right? I mean, it's playing so well and at such a high level. I think the strengths of both defenses is stopping the run, and obviously Montana State does a fantastic job of running the ball. So that matchup and that storyline is extremely intriguing. It'll be interesting to see the quarterback play and how those two, or at least one for sure for the Grizz, and who knows how many guys we'll see take snaps.
11.
Yeah, we could see a whole bunch of dudes for the Bobcats take snaps. But Tucker's come along the last few weeks. I mean, he's playing well, and so I am excited to see how the secondaries play on both defenses and. From what I've seen, I mean, I really, really, really love watching guys like Braden Conkle go play, and I think Tyrell Thomas, watching him play. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but watching most of the second half, or at least that last quarter of last game, seeing him back and healthy. Robbie Houck, I mean, that young man plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, and he's not much bigger than my Yeti cup here. but you can just tell he's a coach's kid that loves to go play, and seeing the development of Josh Sandry and these guys, Jacques Allenier's a flat ball hawk and loves to go get the football. And so both secondaries, I think, in their own way, whether it's stopping the run or defending the pass, or a lot of pressure on those guys to go play well, because I think both defenses have put a lot of eggs in the basket up front, in their D-line and linebackers.
When you bring the variety of pressure, the amount of pressure that Montana brings defensively, what's the key to getting away with? It's the wrong term. What's the key to executing at the high level? Because they ran a very similar scheme that they did last year. I think it's a little bit more diverse now, and guys kind of have mastered it a little bit more. But they brought the heat last year too. Sure. But they gave up big plays a lot. And this year they've given up some big plays, but they mitigated it a lot. I think part of that is because Robbie Houck's such a good open field tackler. But what else do you have to do when you're running all this bogus blitzes and fire zone blitzes, and you're dropping D tackles into coverage? I mean, the Governor kid's got 4 picks because of how many zone blitzes that they've run. Right. But how do you execute? I mean, how do you not be exploited? Yeah, and that's the fun part about it. And that's the chess match that's going to be going on for 60 minutes on Saturday, because Montana State does plenty of that. They're going to be dropping different guys into coverage, right? And seeing Amandre, I didn't get to work with Amandre, but I saw a couple weeks ago, Amandre, it wasn't a great throw, but I think it was Southern Utah kind of threw it right to him. But Montana State does a lot of that too, where you're mixing and matching coverages and pressures, and a lot of times, and I don't think for the casual observer, it looks like pressure, but they're still bringing 4, and dropping a guy into coverage. So. It's funny what you're talking about in terms of Montana's defense. Montana State's offense is, it is a merry mix of stuff, and which guy is taking the ball and who's at quarterback for that play or series, and so it's going to be very entertaining to watch. Like I said, the chess match of these two teams and how each defense defends the offense and vice versa. I want to ask you just about that specific element, because I think that the quarterback position at Montana State's been scrutinized heavily over the last couple of years, and I think justifiably so in a lot of ways. But I think that from a defensive coordinator's perspective, what Montana State does on offense, if nothing less, it's really hard to prepare for. No question. Because they do so many things. So, I mean, when you're looking at that, I mean, just the diversity in the way that they have been able to stem the tide and get to 8 wins even without, I mean, a lot of times in the Big Sky Conference, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country if you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They haven't had that last couple of years, but playoff run last year, 8 wins this year. So when you look at the Bobcat offense, I mean, how diverse, how complex, how complicated is it? Well, it's hard, because what they make you do is they make you fit everything accurately every time, and you can see Montana State wear down opposing defenses. Their O-line I think is really taken a step this year. Coach Armstrong has done a fantastic job with that group, and I think the same could be said for Coach Germer's group here at Montana, and how the offensive line has taken a step, and why Montana State has run the ball so well, with their split zone and their different gap scheme stuff. You can just see them wear out opponents, and I definitely know that's Coach Choate's style, and wants to wear them down, and you have to be perfect. I mean, you can see teams jump out on them. I mean, teams like NAU and some games that I've seen where it's just like,
oh my gosh, this game could be over. And next thing you know, they just kind of keep doing what they're doing, stick with the plan, and they just start mauling you. And next thing you know, you've got multiple rushers with 100+ yards. They've got I don't know how many rushers that's had 100-yard games.
6 in one year. I mean, 6 different guys in one game this year.
It really is a compliment to the job that they're doing. Because to get that kind of rushing yardage consistently, and not be a true triple option team the way Cal Poly is, but there is a lot of triple type variables in Montana State's offense. You just have to be perfect or as close to perfect as possible in terms of fitting it all up.
Ty Gregorek joining us in studio, talking Cat Grizz, number 119. Through your defensive lens, put your Montana State hat on and tell me how to deal with Dalton Sneed, and then put your Montana hat on and tell me how to deal with Troy Anderson.
Ooh. Well, even after the crazy finish and it was a great win in Missoula last year, I still walked off the field going, wow, that kid can play. I mean, he can really play. I mean, he's just got. You can just tell he's got that.
You're talking about Sneed.
I'm talking about Sneed. Well,
well, both of them.
Here. I didn't even have to say a name because they both are leaders. They both will will their team to victories, but way different type of player. I mean,
sure.
Dalton's a quarterback. I mean, it's almost it's an unfair comparison. Troy's going to do his thing. That they're going to have packages for him. I think a few weeks ago I saw the Tebow, the goal line, how many different defensive players, or if you want to call them defensive players, football players come into the game and they ran the goal line Tebow pass with Troy, and Troy's such a special guy.
I mean, what do you got to spy him every time 15's coming in? You got to go, okay, you're the dude. You are just 100% following 15 around wherever he goes, and even then, maybe it doesn't matter because he just runs you over, runs by you, or whatever. Like, how do you within the scheme, can you be specific about this kid? It seems like you have to be, right?
Yeah, I don't think if 15's in the game, I mean, it's almost the way if Travis Johnson's in the game, you expect run, and obviously still have to defend the pass. So your secondary's got to be on high alert and have great eyes and know that those guys can still throw the ball. Dalton is he's just in my mind in terms of quarterback play from what I have seen, and I know Sac State's quarterback is a fantastic player. UC Davis's guy, when healthy, fantastic player. I just think Dalton, if you really look at the entire season, I know he got dinged and had to come back, and look what happened when he came back.
Yeah,
he's just a very special player that, in my mind, if you had to just evaluate quarterback play, he'd be the quarterback, the first team quarterback in the conference this year. So it's again, interesting matchup. I think Dalton Sneed is playing at a high level. He's got to stay healthy, but. At this point in the season, that's half the battle right there.
For sure.
Can we keep everybody healthy, or can we get some guys back? I mean, I know for Montana State, getting Travis Johnson back, getting Isaiah Afonso back, getting Willie Patterson back in the offense, getting Dalton Sneed back a week and a half ago or a game and a half ago is huge because those guys are huge parts of the offense.
I totally agree with that assessment too, because when Sneed was playing at his best before he got hurt, I mean, there was a couple games where you're sitting there thinking, like, man, is this guy actually even maybe going to the league? I mean, he was making some throws where you're like, man, this guy looks like he has even maybe next level talent. It was UC Davis, for example, impressive performance by Dalton Sneed. We got to ask you about the other true standout in this game, Tootell Olson. You've coached a ton of great linebackers, both sides of the rivalry, whether you talk about all the great guys you had at Montana. You coached Caleb McSurdy, who to me reminds me of Olson the most, but I think Olson runs a lot better than McSurdy. McSurdy's probably a lot bigger than Olson, but it's
Dante's a big man.
He's big. I mean, he's 6'3", 240 for sure. But I mean, what's your evaluation of this kid? Because what they're doing with him on defense is completely unique. I mean, he's playing gap to gap to gap to gap. He see ball, hit ball, get ball carrier. I mean, he's a maniac. He's one of the best players I've ever seen. What's your evaluation of him?
It's really been fun for me. And again, I'm just a spine guy now. I'm just a fan, man. I just get to watch ball. It's been really fun and almost kind of like I told you so, because Dante came from a small school in Medford, Oregon, and not that he went unnoticed, but it's like you're almost like, Coach, this kid's going to be special. He is special already, just as a person in terms of a student and character. He's a very special young man. And then to go to watch the type of career that he's had, it's been pretty fun. I remember that home visit. And he's got a wonderful family. Caleb, you keep bringing up McSurdy.
One of my favorite players.
Well, Caleb ended up having a fantastic senior year, and I think he was the defensive player of the year that year. Dante, I think Dante can do more. All right, I'm not going to take anything away from Caleb because he was a dude. I mean, he's just one of those guys that tackle to tackle, and that's where I'm going to say that right now. Tackle to tackle, that boy was special. Sideline to sideline, Dante's special. All right, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
sure. I think Caleb was a little bit limited in space, and again, I'm not going to take anything away from Caleb McSturdy. I love that kid, but just watching Dante's evolution and what he's. There was a play, and I was watching it en route. There was a play a couple weeks ago, and a receiver was coming to block him, and I think Taylor talked about it. A lot of linebackers would either try to go through the guy or underneath the guy, and not be able to make the play. He just out of the corner of the eye, he's flowing with the play. He goes over the top and makes a great side. I mean, he probably ran 30 yards to make the play, and it was
He's
just
behind the running back when the running back caught the ball with the blocker in front of him to stop him. I know exactly.
Crazy. I literally was just about to describe this exact play to ask your evaluation of it. He did. He chased down one of the fastest players on Idaho from behind.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that over time that's not something you coach, because a lot of young guys will make that mistake, but it's just watching his football intelligence grow, and then already this big, strong, running dude that's an exceptional young man. It's just the evolution of Dante. I told Candace the other day, just watching him, he might just end up getting himself drafted for sure.
Yeah,
so.
He's impressive. Well, it's going to be an absolute blast. Noon Saturday. Not that I need to remind any of you out there, Bozeman, Montana, ground zero this year for Cat Grizz. Ty, blast having you in here, man. We really appreciate you coming back. It's fun to talk about this and chop it up with you.
Well, I was coming this way. I had some work to do in the area, and
don't tell us that. Tell us you were going the other direction and you turned all the way around to come here for us.
I absolutely was. No, it's fun. It's fun, and I appreciate you guys having me. It's fun to just talk football and talk to you guys and talk about a couple of wonderful programs in one of the best rivalries in all of college football. And like I said, these two teams have set themselves up for one heck of a show on Saturday. It always means something, but man, I mean, both teams are fighting for a week off the week after. Thanksgiving's a lot of fun, but knowing that you're getting your body right a little bit, and I mean, you look at just the history since they expanded the field. Teams that get that week off generally come out, freshened up. And I'm not saying it's 100% because I was a part of one of those. When we lost to Coastal Carolina, we had a seed and screwed it up. Our first half, it was an embarrassing first half. We came back in the second half and made it quite a game. But that I know both coaches at some point this year, since the brawl, or even since Montana State season ended, was talking about winning at a high level, so that if and when we make the playoffs, we can get a little bit of reprieve that first week and then go make a run, because it is a whole new season. It's a whole new season after that, and home field advantage. Those are all huge things in the playoffs.
For sure. Well, it's fun to get to it, but not too fast. We have 5 days left. Then we can start talking about it. But Ty, appreciate you being here, my man, as always, and we'll catch up with you again soon, all right?
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Ty Gregorath, boys and girls. Appreciate his perspective on all this stuff. A lot of fun to talk to. We'll take a break. Hey, for all the while, it's not the only game going on in the Big Sky Conference this weekend. There's some other notable ones. Did you know there's a chance, it's possible, 5 teams could tie for a Big Sky Conference championship when it's all said and done Saturday? We'll go through some of the scenarios around the Big Sky next.
Hi there. It's Les Schwab Tires. Well, more like Les Schwab alignment and brakes and shocks and wheels and tires. Now, some tire places don't offer all that. They only sell tires. And we're not sure how they sleep at night, because all those services affect things like steering and stopping. That's why we offer more than tires to help keep you safe. Stop by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
Gather your friends and family and join the Montana Club for their annual Thanksgiving feast, featuring succulent oven-roasted turkey or tender, juicy prime rib, and all the mouth-watering sides. And don't forget the pie. Enjoy home-style pecan, pumpkin, or pumpkin cheesecake to top off your meal. Thanksgiving feast starts at 11 a.m., and they'll also offer their full menu as well. Open 8 to 7 Thanksgiving Day. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Black Friday is coming, and for the hunter or gun enthusiast on your list, the best Black Friday sale is once again at Selway Armory. Selway Armory's annual Black Friday sale is the stuff of legends, with tons of inventory at and even below cost. Put Selway Armory on your schedule and get there this Black Friday and Saturday for the sale of the year on firearms, ammunition, and accessories. Get to the store at 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6 behind IHOP on North Reserve. Selway Armory's Black Friday sale, the best there is.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Hey, Colter Nuanez from Tootell, Nuanez. You need a great place for a Christmas gift. I got a spot for you. Aspen Sound in Missoula. They got all the hookups for everything you could possibly need for your vehicles. What are some of the sweet things you got going on down there, Tom?
Thanks, Colter. You know, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto have sure been popular this year for safety and convenience. You can do text messaging, maps, pretty much everything you need, phone calls, music, everything right from the touch of your radio. We also have remote car starters, as you know, and window tint. Lots of goodies at a great price. Come on down and see us.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. Rivalry week and state championship week around the Treasure State got off to an inauspicious start for the University of Montana. For the first time since 1947, the UM men's basketball team lost to Montana Tech. The Ore Diggers of NAIA overcame a 5-point deficit in the last 2 minutes of the game, forcing 3 turnovers in the final 87 seconds to rally for a 74-72 win in front of a mostly stunned crowd of 2,800-plus Monday night. Sindao Diallo scored 24 points to lead the upset bid as the Digs dished out 20 assists on 28 made baskets, also knocked down 10 of 19 from beyond the arc. Kendall Manuel led the scoring for the Grizzlies, having 22 points, but was just 1 of 5 from 3. The Grizz are now 1-3 on the season.
Biggest news of the day. Ty Gregorak staying with us.
I love it.
Segment.
I love it.
Why
No, we
not?
couldn't get
For the second straight year, though, Helena Capital, the state volleyball champions in Class AA, the Bruins marched to their second straight crown in dominant fashion. They swept Bozeman, lost just 1 set each to Billings West and Great Falls CMR, and then swept Helena High in the championship.
And finally, in the Class A volleyball tournament, Corvallis beat 2-time defending state champion Billings Central in the undefeated semifinal, then swept the Rams in the finals to deny Central a three-peat. In Class B, Huntley Project's unprecedented reign continues. The Red Devils have now won 101 consecutive matches for a new state record. They also have won 11 of the last 15 state championships. Class C, Manhattan Christian beat Bridger twice to take it all. Welcome back to Tootell, Nuanez, and Gregorak on 102.9 ESPN Radio and SWX Montana Television. Outstanding to be with all of you across the best state in the Union and the best week of the year.
I realize when we have the greatest jobs in the world, when we have all our friends and guests and assistant coaches and former assistant coaches in, and they just want to stay because this is just so dang fun.
That's right. It is pretty fun.
Shout out to the Montana men's basketball staff because I know that they have all been clamoring for their own little NBA segment. Boys, when March Madness is over, we're going to make that happen. If Jay or Zach or Chris are listening,
We'll let you talk about the Kings and the Blazers and the Warriors all you want.
It's going to be great.
Just
and then after that, we can talk about the NBA playoffs. Hey, here we go. By the way, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula. Saturday, December 7th. Kurt's 7th annual snow day, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. One day only. Get everything you need off the whole Christmas list and save a ton of money doing it. One day only, the best sale of the year at Kurtz Polaris. If you want to listen live, 1029 ESPN.com. Listen live on the Listen Live tab. It's called a stream. It's available thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. It's time to go around the big sky, and we teased what was happening in this segment, and Ty, you sit here, you go, this is going to be crazy. What's about to happen this weekend in the Big Sky Conference and the different scenarios and how you not just adjudicate this year, but also going forward, is there a way to deal with this? Look, the unbalanced schedule in the Big Sky Conference, for those of you who maybe haven't keyed all the way into this, there's 13 teams in the Big Sky Conference and basically 9 games, maybe 8 conference games a year, okay? Which means you play effectively 8 other teams out of 12, yourself being one, so 12 other teams, which means fully a third of the Big Sky Conference does not play each other every single season, which leads to scenarios like the one we have, in which Montana is 6-1, Sacramento State is 6-1, Weber State is 6-1, and all the losses came against each other. So it's a round robin where there's no clear winner in that trio. And then Montana State is 5-2, and don't look now, pillow soft schedule, Eastern Washington is 5-2. And now, in the event that, which could happen, Montana, Weber State, Sacramento State all lose. Montana State, in that event, of course, would be winner. And Eastern Washington comes away with a winner. Everybody finishes the season 6-2. You have a 5-way tie for the Big Sky title. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? This is crazy, right? When you were coaching and you were looking around at this, and it has evolved a little bit over the years, you have to play the schedule that you got, but what was the level of consternation about the scenario in the Big Sky from a scheduling standpoint, Ty?
Well, and I can talk pretty freely.
Yes.
I'm not in the league. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
I don't think anybody does. I haven't known anybody that said, I love this, except for maybe Cal Poly, who went 7-1 their first year in the league because they didn't have to play the Cats, the Grizz, Eastern, or NAU.
Right. I don't like that, they came up with these regional rivalries, and yet teams in Montana don't play a school that's directly south in the state of Utah, or teams in Montana don't play a team like Idaho or Eastern that is literally a 5 to 7 hour drive, depending on where you're at. It's not right, okay? And then what we were talking about at break, I hate FBS schools playing down. I hate FCS schools playing down. In my mind, all right, you either, and there's a lot of ways you can spin it. There's 13 football playing teams in the Big Sky. You either say, okay, no one's playing up anymore, and no one's playing down, and everybody plays each other, which I know would make some people happy, especially at the schools, because budgets always come into play in terms of where regionally travel's expensive for a football team. We're talking about 100+ people on any given travel party. So you either play everybody in the Big Sky and that's your 12-game schedule, or you potentially add a team that's looking to make the move up, or I mean, it's too bad that North Dakota, I get why North Dakota left, because I think they're more naturally a Missouri Valley fit over there. But you add a team, and then you have a 7-team division where if you win your division, you're automatically in. That's the automatic bid, so to speak. And then that next 2 or 3 team, that now they're fighting in terms of, well, here's our record, here's our strength of schedule, and all the other things that go into the playoffs. It's an interesting. I know what we're saying mathematically, and I think that, I think one of us would probably have a better chance to go buy a lottery ticket in terms of that scenario happening. It's possible.
Weber State losing to Idaho State seems less than plausible, yes. Right. That's just one of the scenarios which would need to happen.
And we probably don't need to go much further.
Yeah.
I don't even know where the game is at, but
it's in Weber.
Yeah, Weber's still Weber. I know what happened in Missoula on Saturday, but Weber's still a very, very good football team.
And Idaho State's had so many injuries, and they've just fallen from the pack. I mean, they've really struggled the last 3 weeks too.
They have had a lot of injuries. I did get to do one of their games. I did the Idaho game against Idaho State, and they you could just tell You can tell they lost a lot when they lost that quarterback last year. He was a very good football player. He's helping out with the team, helping on the offensive side and in that group with Coach Fennessy and Coach Ferreter. But yeah, just defensively, they've lost some dudes. And anyway, it'll be a very, very interesting scenario. I think it's a highly unplausible scenario. I really do. I don't see it happening. But yeah, if it did, I mean, what?
But it seems very likely, right? By the way, Ty Gregorak in studio with us, that there's, I mean, it's very likely that certainly 2, if not 3 or even 4 teams are tied for the conference championship by way of record when it is. I mean, it's almost certain that there isn't just going to one 1-loss team when it's all said and done
that's
on
certain.
Saturday.
That's certain. There is no possible scenario where there could be an outright champion.
Okay.
None.
So
there will be a co-champion any way you splice it.
That's the Big Sky way, though. I mean, right?
But totally. Well, it's like when you guys were in the prime of it with Coach Hauk. I remember if you guys didn't win the league outright, he wouldn't order the rings. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do because I've had lots of. I keep them in my garage now, and kind of my own little. That's where my little shrine of football stuff is in my garage. Okay, that's how my career and coaching career is. It's in the garage. But yeah, I've got a healthy chunk of jewelry, and I was a part of conference championship teams. We do not have rings from those years because. And I get the philosophy by what Coach Hauk was saying and thinking. Some programs could split it 3 or 4 ways, and they'll be sprinting to Jostens, to get that ring. You know?
Right. 100%.
So I don't know. Again, I don't love the way it's set up. I don't love the fact that Montana State didn't, in my mind, get to play not the rival. But rival schools like Weber and Eastern and Montana, vice versa.
And Idaho, I mean, yeah. Right. Idaho and Montana State play every year. Eastern, Montana State play every year. Weber, Montana State play every year.
Every year.
I think that's the biggest.
+1 divided by 2. That's what I think.
I know we got to get out. So I give one last scenario because I've heard. I mean, Mike Kramer was the first one that dropped the everybody play everybody. Let's stop playing up. He said that to me at the Big Sky Kickoff several years ago. I think it's a compelling idea, and you presented the same thing. Maybe divisions, you've talked about that. But the scenario that it's so hard into this day and age because nobody wants to kick anybody out of anything. And everybody wants to let everybody participate in everything. And I think there's a lot of administrative things that go into it. And
you want to kick me off this show 3 times a day.
But in my mind, the FCS football in the West was at its best when schools like Cal Poly were actually playing independent. And Cal Poly made the playoffs as many times as an independent as they have in the Big Sky. The conference affiliation has really done nothing for them besides just give them 8 guaranteed games.
You think there should be 9 teams in the Big Sky?
I think that there could be 9 or 10. Yeah, I think that you could get rid of some teams. I mean, I think UC Davis and Cal Poly both have such different academic restrictions or whatever academic standards than everybody else in the Big Sky that it's a different playing field. I mean, UC Davis hasn't taken a transfer from out of state one single time since they joined the Big Sky.
They are in California.
Well, no doubt. But like UC Davis out of state tuition is $50,000+. They don't even recruit out of state because they're not trying to use up that much of their scholarship money.
Right.
Cal Poly, like Tim Walsh said, there's guys that we can't even go shake hands with that can go to almost every other school in the conference. Portland State, who knows what's going to happen with football at Portland State, but they're in a huge city. They're more entrenched in the Big Sky just because they've been in the Big Sky since 1996, for sure. Not since 2012. But I just wonder if there's a way to cut some of the fat. I mean, to me, the Big Sky was at its best when it was the 8 schools. Northern Colorado joined to make it 9 schools, and that was still okay because you had the 8-game round-robin schedule. But when it was just 8 schools, when you first got to Montana, it was the traditional schools minus Idaho. I think you could have those 8 schools
minus
plus
Idaho, minus Boise State, minus Nevada.
Right.
You know, people. I mean, that's when Montana truly became Montana football-wise when those schools left. I mean, that's a fact, right? I mean, Montana really emerged as a dominant and predominant program when those schools left. Right.
Absolutely. It's one of the main factors. I just wonder, I mean, if you could just get back to Idaho State, Weber State, Montana State, Eastern Washington, Northern Arizona. I mean, that to me is a much better version of the Big Sky Conference.
It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Ty Gregorak sticking around with us. It's been awesome to do that. We appreciate that. You're welcome to ride it out. It's up to you. You do whatever you want. We'll take one more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap the thing up. Our buddy Joe brought us the updated mileage from all the state travels of all the high school teams in the postseason. Handwritten, pencil, notebook, paper. We'll get into some of that. And, how about Mexico City last night? Hey, Phillip Rivers. Okay, we'll get to all of it right after this. It's winter. Soon to be anyways. Driving, hazardous, not great, tough on your car. Go to Shine Auto Detailing. It's not just about getting your car clean. It's about getting it protected. They'll put a ceramic coating on that thing. Make sure that next time you go to wash it, everything comes off there. You don't have any chips, any problems with the sand, the salt, the rocks that you get throughout the winter. And also, right now, if you make an appointment, again, Shine Auto Detailing online at MissoulaAutoDetailing.com, a free headlamp restoration, headlight restoration. It's important to see at night. That's what the headlights do, people. Make sure that you can see with them. Get yourself any type of detailing from Shine Auto Detailing, and that service is provided as well for your safety all winter long. Quick break, back after this. Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his Touch of Magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, who pump it up.
Whether you need energy to get you going or a little relaxation to wind you down, Town Pump has it. Red Bull Energy 12-ounce, 3 for $7, and Keystone 15-pack, $8.88. There's a Town Pump right down the road from you.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up, yeah.
Have you been in an accident and have no idea what to do? I'm here with Catherine from the Advocates Injury Attorneys.
Unfortunately, people are injured in accidents every day, and dealing with the insurance company can add even more pain to an already bad situation. That is where hiring the advocates can help. Let us guide you through the process and take on the hassles for you so you can just focus on getting better.
If you've been injured in an accident, give the Advocates a call, 406-640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. The Advocates are on your side.
The biggest season in sports is shifting into overdrive, and the Desperado Sports Tavern has the fuel you need to make it to the finish line. By now, you've heard that the Despo serves the best wings around, but did you know they have a full menu with burgers, nachos, chicken strips, sandwiches, cheese sticks, and even steaks? Fill your tank, then wash it down with an ice-cold beverage or two. Keep your head in the game with 32 HD TVs and room for the whole crew. The Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell across from the Y.
You've been auditioning at the dinner table for years. Are you finally ready to hit the stage? Arts Missoula and ASUM are teaming up again to showcase the best of the region's high school talent at First Night Spotlight. Audition at Hellgate or Big Sky after school on December 2nd and 5th, respectively. Or for Sentinel, Willard, and surrounding schools, tryouts will be held 11:30 a.m. Saturday, December 7th at the UC Theater. The best of the best will be invited to perform live on New Year's Eve. To sign up for First Night Spotlight tryouts, go to artsmissoula.org.
Americans waste 3.8 million gallons of gas by idling every single day. Idling for more than 10 seconds actually uses more fuel and produces more emissions than stopping and restarting your engine.
Vehicle exhaust contributes to smog, climate change, and poor air quality, heightening the risk of developing asthma and lung disease. Kids and seniors are especially vulnerable to these health risks.
So next time you're stopped for more than 10 seconds at the train, getting coffee, or picking your child up from school, please turn your vehicle off.
Brought to you by Missoula in Motion.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
We went to a commercial break, but the show didn't stop. Colter Nuanez, Ryan Tootell, Ty Gregorek. Appreciate Ty coming over here, spending time talking Cat Grizz with us, talking Big Sky Conference. Guy who knows. Coached for both schools in the state of Montana. Played at CU. Is playing for Colorado, is it like the Marines where you don't say former Buffalo, or do you say that? Once a Buffalo, always a Buffalo?
Absolutely.
Okay. current Buffalo. Ty Gregorak. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris Studios, December 7th, 2904 West Broadway. Kurt's 7th annual snow day, one day only at Kurtz Polaris. Get their best sale of the entire year. Phone number 329-1899. All guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone line. And if you missed anything in the show today, check it out on the podcast. The Tootell and Nuanez podcast brought to us, wherever you get your podcast by the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. And also the FCS Speculators podcast going to be out tomorrow. So we're working hard to get the last one of the regular season out, and we will be dialing into all the playoffs as well as we go with the FCS Speculators podcast. Okay, guys, what do you want to do? Mileage in high school. Let's talk about actually what we were talking about in the break. We'll bring people into this conversation. Our buddy Joe brought over the mileage, by the way, for all of the football travel that took place in the state this season. We'll go through this in more detail, but I will tell you the grand total, round trip, 43,926 miles. I mean, it takes me 24 full driving hours to go 1,500 miles from here to Racine, Wisconsin, to visit my mother's side of the family there. 43,000. I think that's the moon, right? I think you're at the moon at that point. Unbelievable. We appreciate Joe compiling this handwritten pencil and paper. But, Ty, we were talking in the break about, all the different places that you go for the state championships. But for volleyball, for instance, who just had their state championship in Brick Breeden, they have it every year, all classifications there. Now, volleyball's a little different because it's a smaller footprint. You can put everybody in playing concurrently. But there's been this discussion about wherever the Cat Grizz game is, the other stadium, which is vacant on that Saturday or perhaps that Saturday, should be the host site for one, if not maybe multiple state championship games. You think that's maybe a pretty cool idea?
I do think it's a cool idea. It should definitely be played on the Friday, just the way it is. So a lot of those young men and parents and fans of the two colleges can still go on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I do think it'd be a pretty cool thing. Now, I can't wait for my first high school state championship in the state. I can't wait to go to Naranche. Yeah. Naranche is a great stadium. I mean, totally. It's going to be awesome. It's an all-timer. Yeah, I'm excited to experience it. I'm excited for my son to go experience it. And he's just a little boy, but he'll be running around with Colts kids, and it's going to be awesome. I do think it would be really neat though for those young men. I think you could get a lot of fans from around the state to come fill up Washington Grizz or Bobcat Stadium the night before, and then make the trek the next morning if they wanted to go watch the football game. I do think you could have a couple classifications. You start early in the day on that Friday. I mean, like
they do double headers at Missoula County Stadium right now, right, on a regular Friday night when both Hellgate and Sentinel or Big Sky, whoever is in there at the same time.
And so like you were saying, I mean, I know people. My mother-in-law comes to mind. She retired from Rocky last year. She came over last weekend and sat through almost every game just because she loves volleyball, obviously. But there's just a vibe. It's a cool vibe in the Brick to watch all classifications. You're watching a high level of volleyball. Every court is packed with from Huntley all the way to Helena Capital and everywhere in between. It's a cool vibe. And like you're saying, it's a smaller footprint, so to speak. But I do think there is at least a conversation or argument for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that the other point would be just the quality of the officials, because we've talked to the people from the Montana Officials Association, the Missoula officiating pool. There's been such a shortage of officials, but there's also these crews. Like there's a crew in Missoula. Every single one of the guys is a master's. They are some of the best officials in the state. If Missoula Sentinel would have won last week, those guys would not have been able to go officiate the game because Missoula didn't. I think it's highly likely that they will be doing the game in Butte, or at least some of them will. And that just adds to the game. I mean, it really does, especially at the high school level when you
don't have an SEC school for a bowl game that has an ACC team versus a Pac-12 or whatever. Totally. That's the way it goes.
But in Montana, I mean, there's such this disparity between officials because you have all sorts of kids that are just starting out. There's not really a middle ground because there's so many guys like kind of around our age that have families and, they're just so busy and you don't have the time to do it. So it's either
what is our age?
I mean, mid 30s to 40. You just turned 40, so you entered a new
41 now.
You entered a new age demographic recently. You two are actually more the.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I'm really 75. Well, I'm either 75 or 11. It's hard. It depends on the day.
I think that's the best part about you.
Jumping in poles.
Sorry to digress.
I just think that the officiating would be improved as well. But here nor there, regardless of where the future of the state championships are, Naranche's going to be, I can't wait for you to see it, because the last state championship there that I went to in 2012, I mean, it was one of the coolest moments of my life. I mean, it was one of the great games I've ever seen. And in Butte, the mystique of Butte, packed in that little bowl with 8,000 people. I mean, it's just wild.
I was there for the semifinal. I don't know if it was that year where, was it Dennehy made the kick?
Yep.
What, was that the same year?
No, that's the championship. That was the championship game.
God, I didn't think that. Okay.
When they beat Bozeman, they beat Will Disley and Grant Collins' Bozeman High team when those guys were juniors, and Dennehy made the kick at the buzzer.
Okay, so I think I went the week before.
Okay.
I was the week before, but yeah, Butte's such a cool town. I mean,
it's the greatest.
It's Montana. It's going to be awesome. I'm fired up that I get to go.
Well, Ty, we're fired up that you were here and stayed. We will get you whatever the check is that you need for the payment for your time. But we really appreciate you being here.
You can't call in too many doctors at this hour. So
it's got to be here. That's right.
Right. Tomorrow, I'll get up early tomorrow morning and see if I can go make a couple bucks for Stryker.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being here with us. It's been a lot of fun breaking all this stuff down with you, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Do a little Wing It Wednesday. More Cat Grizz stuff. Going to have some great guests coming up later this week as well, so stick around for that. Until then, good night, boys and girls. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for making Polaris America's best-selling off-road brand. During the Polaris Great American Thank You event, financing is as low as 3.99% and rebates go as high as $3,500. Live life wide open in a high-performance RZR. Tackle everything from mountains to mud holes in a legendary Sportsman ATV. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger or elevate your adventure in a versatile Polaris General. Now is the time to get the season's best deals on America's best-selling off-road lineup with financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months and rebates up to $3,500 during the Polaris Great American Thank You at Kurtz Polaris, 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Get to Kurtz Polaris on Saturday, December 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for Kurt's 7th annual Snow Day. This is the biggest sale of the year, one day only, Saturday, December 7th at Kurtz Polaris in Missoula. Kurt's 7th annual Snow Day. Rebates valid in U.S. through 12/31/19 on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Subject to credit approval. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
It's a rite of passage, that first bank account. Explore the great options for your young adult with a visit to Farmer State Bank, online at farmersebank.com or in person at any of our 9 locations in western Montana. Our checking and savings accounts are designed to fit any lifestyle and budget with the flexibility, innovations, and security today's consumers demand. Start out right with Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC.
This is Tom Skerritt for the Borgen Project. Each year, nearly 2 million children die from preventable diseases. Each day, 30,000 people die from hunger. 500 each hour are children. The Borgen Project is turning this around. We need your help. To learn more, go to borgenproject.org. That's BORGEN project.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
You've been auditioning at the dinner table for years. Are you finally ready to hit the stage? Arts Missoula and ASUM are teaming up again to showcase the best of the region's high school talent at First Night Spotlight. Audition at Hellgate or Big Sky after school on December 2nd and 5th, respectively. Or for Sentinel, Willard, and surrounding schools, tryouts will be held 11:30 a.m.